Hi guys, this is Erica from Gokce Capital.
Now before I begin, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on notifications. In the 1970s, Boise, Idaho was faced with a string of septic tank failures in the area just southwest of its borders. Concerned over the potential health hazards, the city agreed to extend sewer lines out to the neighborhood, despite the fact that the area was outside of its jurisdiction. The idea was to first resolve the public health issue and then work through the legal process to annex the area into the city limits. A few years later, the city, assuming it would be flush with impact fees and tax revenue from the upcoming annexations, acquired a 160-acre site right outside of city limits and slated it for development as a large public park. But then, everything fell apart. And spoiler alert, neither the park site nor the southwestern neighborhoods were ever annexed. What happened? I'll let you know at the end of this video. But first, we're going to cover the top things you should know about land annexation. Number 1. Land annexation is the addition or incorporation of territory into a city or town. This process is done to both open up new land for development, but also to increase a city's tax base in order to help it provide additional services and amenities to existing and new residents. Number 2. As our opening example shows, land annexation is often controversial. This is because its impacts can be complicated. While land annexation does bring new land and tax revenue into the city limits, it also comes with a requirement for the city to expand services and can sometimes increase taxes for the city as a whole. Number 3. Land annexation becomes controversial because it requires public approval. Now, the laws regulating land annexation will vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, but by far the majority of the time, a city cannot simply annex land by law or administrative ruling. It requires voter approval. For example, annexation often occurs through an election process. This occurs when the city issues a city council resolution or obtains a petition to annex a parcel of land, and then puts approval for the annexation up for vote. A majority of voters must vote in favor of the proposed annexation. Another common way by which the land annexation process starts is through a petition. In this case, a petition signed by a threshold number of residents can be submitted to the city in order to initiate a land annexation. Alternatively, if the annexation involves only one parcel, sometimes a petition signed by only the current property owner is all that is needed to start the process. Number 4. There are rules that govern what land is eligible for annexation. Now again, these rules will vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, but the majority of the time, land must physically border the city in order for it to be eligible. In fact, in many states, municipalities are not allowed to annex land that is not directly connected to their existing territory. And this is part of the reason why annexation is somewhat rare. Number 5. Upon annexation, the city is often required to provide you or any annexed properties with most regular city services immediately. So this does come with an upfront cost to the city. In addition, while you as the property owner will benefit from these new services, you may also see your property taxes go up. Number 6. Upon annexation, the zoning on your property may also change. This is because the city may have different zoning regulations than the county, or whatever jurisdiction your property used to be under. So if your property is being annexed, you will want to check with the city to see what your property's new zoning designation is and whether there are major changes to the allowable uses and development regulations on your property. And finally, number 7. While annexations are far more common, deannexations do also occur. As the name would suggest, this is when a city reduces its geographic size. This is often done when a city needs to balance its budget and reprioritize services for existing and more built-up neighborhoods. But let's return to Boise's annexation plans. What was so wrong about annexing a park? Well, remember, park development was tied to Boise's plans to annex the neighborhoods on its southwest border, where sewer lines had already been run. Boise tried numerous times to annex this area, but each time the annexation failed. It seems that city residents didn't want to cover the cost of providing additional services to the area. And so the city never received the impact fees that were supposed to pay for the development of the 160-acre park site. The final nail in the coffin came earlier this year when the state passed a law limiting the amount of tax revenue that Boise could take in from annexations and new construction, effectively killing the possibility of funding the park. So a few months ago, the city proposed to fully annex the park site so it could be swapped with a set of sites currently owned by a developer. The goal was to open up the 160-acre park site for additional housing development, which the city felt it desperately needed. However, as you may imagine, this plan resulted in a huge public uproar and was quickly withdrawn a few months later. But this example just goes to show the complicated trade-offs that can come with annexation. It can be very hard to come to a consensus as to how new land should be developed, as well as who is responsible for the cost of additional services. Now, do you have any tales about land annexation? Let us know in the comments. Did you like this video? You're going to love our Gokce land due diligence program. We'll make you a land due diligence expert in just 7 days. Check it out at gokcecapital.com/glad. And while you're at our website, don't forget to explore our $1 down properties at gokcecapital.com/listings. Finally, don't hesitate to reach out with any questions. You can email, call, or text, and we will respond as soon as possible. So thank you for listening, and more to come.